Come on. Come on, you guys. Let's go. 2-1 win. London derby win against West Ham. And right now, I'll take these wins how they come. Like, honestly, I'll take these wins whatever form and way they want to come, because it's not been an ideal start for us during the start of this new Prem season. And listen, we all saw that first half. We saw some of the same things that have been blighting our game over the past few months now in terms of that lack of attacking agency. And even Tuchel's in-game decision to use a 3-5-2 with Pulisic and Raheem Sterling up front together. That had its pros and cons, mainly having a lot of cons in my opinion. So for me, at least, Tuchel did the right thing by making the early changes in the second half, because we had to see more offensive guys coming on. And no surprise, the impacts on Ben Chilwell as well as Kai Havertz, who both played the parts to win the game for us in the end. You know, that was the type of decision that was needed, because we had to commit more men forwards. We needed to have guys supporting each other. We needed guys making runs in behind inside the box. And I think that's what Ben brought. I'll touch upon him later on. But his goal, as well as creating the assist for Kai Havertz, got us to the goals in the end. And, you know, I guess we have to also thank VAR for working in our favour, surprisingly this time, because there was a crazy moment in the end where you're thinking to yourself, this is typical of how our season started. Yeah, we do all the hard work, but then we throw it away like absolutely nothing in the end. And for me, I personally felt like VAR got that decision right. I thought it was a foul on Mendy. I honestly thought that was a foul on Mendy. I thought that it kind of took Mendy out of the game from doing like another action quickly to like make himself bigger, open his body up. The type of actions that he normally does in these situations. And we can't forget that, you know, this mistake even comes from Reece James putting in a very unnecessary backheader for absolutely no reason. But I'll touch upon that later on as this review goes on. So we needed that bit of luck. But in football, if you play to win, if you commit men forwards, you create your own luck. And I think that's why we deserved the 2-1 win in the end today. The best place to start off is by discussing that first half lineup. Now, it was 3 in midfield. Ruben played as a DM. Gallagher on the right hand side, Cover on the left hand sides. Cucurella, Reece James, and up front, Pulisic, Raheem Sterling. Oh, I feel like I could understand the thinking behind it, in the sense that we've been quite weak in midfield, and it's obvious that Tuchel really appreciates Ruben's physicality, because he's probably our most like strongest midfield player in terms of strength and pure physique in that sense. So, you know, maybe he feels more comfortable with 3 midfield players in front. But, you know, this experiment of using Sterling and Pulisic together and not starting Armando Broja, it really surprised me, to be fair. I thought Broja had a great introduction in the last game to Southampton. It feels like when your striker isn't in form, in Kai Havertz, I want to see my other striker playing. So the fact that he was still on the bench to continue this Pulisic up front experiment, which doesn't produce anything, really baffled me. It doesn't make any sense. And it's, for me, it's that type of coaching sometimes that I get a bit frustrated by. And for me, it's that type of coaching sometimes that can frustrate me if I'm keeping things real. It's because it's like, what are we doing to show that we want to win this? We're at home. We're not away. It felt like a bit of a negative move in that sense. And it's no surprise that we saw a ton of negative football. Lots of very uninspired passes to the left-hand side, right-hand side. No penetration whatsoever. No line-breaking passes, no nothing. It was very easy for West Ham to defend against us. And it's just stuff like that that kind of frustrates me, because, you know, Tuchel definitely sent out a message today, not using Jorginho, Mount or Kai Havertz. Or maybe us fans are being a bit too cynical. Tuchel may be thinking, I need to manage their workloads. So maybe that could be the reality behind things. But for me, this 3-5-2 experiment that I've been seeing at times this season isn't as effective at all, and I need to not see it anymore. So let's move on to one of the next talking points. So right now, let's discuss our debutant in Wesley Fofana. He came for under 70 million. We got him for a decent fee in the end, and he has been the long-term target that Tuchel has wanted for a very long time. And there's actually quite an interesting story behind his transfer. So essentially, the reason why we rejected the opportunity to sign Jules Koundé in the end is based on the fact that now that we're using this new like independent data analysis team, they actually brought up red flags in Koundé's game. Now, I've got no clue what those red flags could be. They probably have access to like, you know, ridiculous like data tools and reports to be able to like come up with these conclusions for players. But the data analysis team actually highlighted Wesley Fofana as one of the key players that actually signed for the right-hand side of a back three. So That's why he's here. And I think in this game today, he definitely showed that, okay, carrying that ball forward, this guy is very silky on the ball. You know, he's got very good technique. He's very composed as well too. And he defends forward. A lot of times he's very comfortable leaving his defensive line to engage further up the field as well too. And, you know, I felt like he was presenting himself as the underlapping option in the final third. And we're definitely going to see his influence of the football as the season is going on. So, you know, it was decent. You know, he won a few nice duels at times, you know, some nice tackles here and there. But I think maybe there's one thing I felt like as the game was drawing to its end. Maybe Fofana's a bit more tired. Maybe it's a lack of having that chemistry with his teammates, because he's only recently signed. But I think for the goal that was conceded, he didn't get tight enough to block that cross. I think that he came a bit too short and overcommitted way too early. And for the second goal as well too. But of course, Reece James gets most of that in my opinion. That was his fault. A very unnecessary backwards header. But at the same time, I felt like, okay, Fofana, that was yours to actually command. You communicated saying, this is my ball. Because he was in that best position in terms of his body orientation to deal with that in a safe manner. And for me, this is the reality behind the player. This guy's a super talent that cannot be denied. But we'll also see some of the small areas in this game which he can improve upon as his career with us continues and continues and continues. So for me, this was definitely a promising debut. A lot more to come from him, but at the same time, there's still like a few areas here and there that he can improve upon. And I think getting the experience from Thiago Silva would be definitely beneficial for him. So let's hope that he's really learning and picking up a lot this season. So now let's move on to the third talking point and let's discuss Ben Chilwell, because for me, his introduction was so key to actually changing the entire complexion of this game. Now, I thought Cucurella at times was all right, but I don't know what it is. Obviously, he's not that type of wingback that will break into the box and make those underlapping runs. You know, Ben has more of that Marcos Alonso in his game, and I felt like that came to fruition today, like in beautiful fashion. I mean, even the first goal that you got, you know, you have to, if you want to see creativity, players need to commit. They need to be brave enough to be making those runs in behinds and taking responsibility once they're calling for those balls. No surprise in Thiago Silva, who has that playmaking ability in this game. Another beautiful ball, and I feel like Ben and Thiago have a very good relationship actually when it comes to Thiago finding him with balls over the top. West Ham committed to defenders, they sell themselves short, and in the end the ball kind of bounces off in a very like fortunate fashion off Ben's head, and he's in the right direction as the ball's bouncing downwards. And for me, you know, the goal was excellent because he plays that ball in between the keeper's legs. Nice awareness, you know, the speed of thought as well too, the reactions. It was all on point and it was definitely deserved. And obviously the subs that came on as well too, having Mount on, having HAVERTZ on, having Ben, you know, guys looking to get in the box alongside you, Armando Brothers as well too, who was again showing like a bit of promise in his performance. And you know, he played the crucial part with Ben to create the equaliser by actually releasing him in behind. Ben playing like a perfectly weighted cross into the box, and Kai Havertz being there in the near post, where for me, this is how you get the best out of Kai Havertz. These are the areas in which Havertz wants to get on the end of these moves. You know, when he's scoring all his goals at Leverkusen, that's because he arrives in the box late. And that's what he's very good at doing. And we need to create these opportunities, a lot more of that. And yeah, fantastic performance from Ben. I have to see him start a lot more now. I feel like in terms of adding more balance to the team, you know, I feel like Cucurella really hugs the touchdown a lot more. But I guess we need someone that can also get inside the box to have that goal threat as well. So now we move on to the next point. I want to discuss set pieces. I don't know what's happened this season, but this is the fourth goal we've conceded now from a set play. Maybe this is down to the fact that we've lost real like colossals at the back, and like your Rudigers and even Christensen, who was also quite key for us in defending set pieces. I'm not too sure. Maybe it comes down to the lack of communication. A lot of new defenders have been signed. As I keep saying, defense is a relationship. You can have the best individuals in the world playing in your back three, but if they don't form the understanding together, then it will mean absolutely nothing. For me, I have to see that level of attention and detail in our defending now, because these details, they compound and they add up, and this is why we're conceding left, right and centre. And it's like the typical move where, you know, it's like a succession of set pieces we're defending against. Like against Spurs, it was like 3 or 4 in a row. West Ham was like 3, 4 in a row as well too. It's like we just about hang on until the final set piece, and that's the one that catches us out every single time. So I don't know what we can do to improve things. Of course, maybe the midfield is not ideal in that sense, but you're looking at some of the guys in the back. you're expecting a lot more. Reece James as well too, like he's quite good aerially. I feel like we had the guys there to deal with that. So maybe it's the application. I'm not too sure what's happening right now, but for me, you know, we need to win our games by the smallest of margins every single time. So we can't afford to be giving away any sloppiness of our own doing from set pieces, because that will kill everything. So let's hope we see some improvements. I thought Mendy could have done better at that near post as well too. And it goes down to what I keep saying, you know, the guy will do good things. For example, that saving that shot from Bowen, his set piece defending in general throughout as well too. But it's these 2-3 bad things right now, which is a part of his game now. And obviously the form has been a bit iffy. So now we end things with the final talking point, and I want to quickly discuss Loftus-Cheek playing as a DM. For me, I first feel like I understand why Tuchel uses him, because he needs some physical authority in the back. Of course, after losing to Leeds, where our midfield got battered and destroyed, Tuchel feels like he needs to add more protection to that midfield. Ruben has shown that he's a very reliable squad player that can fill a multitude of positions and roles that none of us expected, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that, because he's playing with a lot more tactical discipline. He's showing his work rate, that desire to get involved in tackles. And remember, this was a player that back in the day, he used to be criticised for his lack of work rate, low defensive IQ, etc, etc. So he's shown massive strides in his game to really be an effective player defending at the back for us. And I feel like that authority was decent at times. So of course, you're always hoping for a bit more in the final third. But for me, I think you'd only see that if Ruben's playing on the left-hand side of a midfield three, where he has the license to break the lines and carry the ball. It's just little decisions like that from Tuchel where it's just like, I think to myself, do you know like what the best position is for some of these guys? Because in a game like this where West Ham, it was too easy for them, we weren't shifting their blocks enough. Having someone like a Ruben that's able to commit from the left channel, that can take on a man, take out one midfield line, you know, draw attention to him, create space. I feel like in games like this, we do have certain personnel that could use their skill set more, especially when Cover isn't fully fit to be that effective guy for us to break the lines and cause some mayhem. So, I don't know, it's a bit of a sticky one for me. I felt like he was decent. I want to see him take his shots off a bit more quicker. It feels like he's surprised whenever he's getting inside the box, but if you're advancing in the box, you know, sometimes take it for yourself and take these shots a lot sooner. But in general, he has been one of our most solid players during the month, and I'm expecting us to see a lot more from Ruben, and I'm hoping and I'm praying at some point in the season that I get to see this guy playing that number 8 role like we saw in Sarri, because then you'll get the best of both, in my opinion. So you guys, on that note, in the end, we get the win today. What's your thoughts and opinions on the game? Let us all know and share your thoughts and opinions below. And on that note, I'm in EFC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.